Did you know that by 2026, 5 million Canadians could be forced to leave their homes? That's nearly 1 in 7 people, families, workers, and entire communities uprooted because of a shocking new law. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing your home, your neighborhood, everything you've built could be taken from you. Not by crime, not by disaster, but by a decision made in Parliament. It sounds unbelievable, but experts say this is a real possibility. The reasons behind this law are as surprising as they are alarming, from skyrocketing housing prices to environmental pressures, from job shortages to population control measures. The government says it's necessary, but many Canadians are asking, necessary for whom and why now? The details are complex, hidden in legal documents, economic reports, and climate forecasts, but they directly affect millions of lives. In this video, we're going to uncover the 10 shocking reasons that could force people out of Canada in 2026. You'll hear the facts, see the numbers, and discover how this law might change everything, from where people live to how they work, to the very communities they call home. Stay tuned, because what you're about to learn might surprise you. Number 1. Economic pressure, the silent force driving millions out. When most people think about a law forcing millions to leave Canada, they imagine something dramatic, natural disasters, sudden government mandates. But the truth is far more subtle and far more powerful. Economic pressure is quietly reshaping lives across the country, and it's one of the main reasons experts predict up to 5 million people could be forced to relocate by 2026. Rising costs of living, skyrocketing rent, and limited job opportunities are not just numbers on a report. They're real, everyday struggles for families. Imagine a young couple trying to pay rent in Toronto while their wages barely cover groceries. Or a skilled worker in Vancouver watching their industry shrink, realizing their career may no longer support their home. These financial stresses create a domino effect. When the economy tightens, governments and policymakers look for drastic measures, sometimes making decisions that can displace entire populations. Research shows that economic crises often accelerate migration patterns. A study from the University of Toronto found that when housing affordability drops below a certain threshold, people are more likely to move hundreds, even thousands of kilometers just to find stability. Combine that with inflation, job scarcity, and government policies, and it creates a perfect storm. For millions of Canadians, staying in their hometowns may soon become financially impossible, forcing them to consider relocation as the only viable option. So while the headlines might focus on laws and legislation, the real driving force behind this potential mass exodus is economic survival. It's not just about numbers, it's about families, futures, and the very ability to live where you've built your life. And as we'll see in the next sections, this is just the beginning. We put countless hours into digging through the facts to bring you this story. So if this video opened your eyes, drop a comment below with your thoughts, smash that subscribe button, it's just one click, and join our growing community of curious minds who want the real story. Number 2. Housing crisis, skyrocketing prices, and the mass exodus. Canada's housing market has been called one of the most unaffordable in the world, and the numbers tell a shocking story. In cities like Toronto and Vancouver, the average home price has more than doubled in the past decade, while wages have barely kept pace. For many families, owning a home is no longer a dream. It's a distant, almost impossible goal. But this isn't just about property prices. It's about the ripple effects across communities and entire regions. When housing becomes unaffordable, people are forced to make impossible choices. Stay in cramped apartments, move far from their jobs, or, in extreme cases, leave the province or even the country. Experts warn that this growing crisis is directly linked to the government's new law, which aims to address overcrowding, resource management, and population distribution, but at a human cost. Millions could find themselves uprooted, not because they want to leave, but because they have no other choice. The impact isn't just financial, it's emotional. Families uprooted from their neighborhoods face disrupted routines, children changing schools, and the loss of community support networks. And the problem isn't limited to the big cities. Smaller towns are feeling pressure too, as people migrate in search of affordable housing, creating new imbalances in regions that aren't prepared to absorb them. This isn't a distant threat. It's happening now, quietly shaping Canada's future. If economic pressure was a spark, housing is the fuel, pushing millions closer to a mass migration that many thought unimaginable just a few years ago. Understanding this crisis is essential to grasping why this new law could be a turning point for millions of Canadians. We've poured hours into uncovering the truth behind these numbers, so if this video made you stop and think, share your thoughts in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, it's literally just one click, and join our community that wants the full story, not just the headlines. Number 3. Population control policies, the government's hidden strategy. When we hear population control, most of us think of far-off countries or science fiction, but now it's becoming a real discussion in Canada. With 5 million people potentially affected by the new law in 2026, experts warn that population management policies may play a bigger role than most Canadians realize. Governments rarely announce these measures with drama. Instead, they're often hidden in economic forecasts, urban planning reports, and legislation designed to manage overcrowding and resources. Why would the government even consider this? The truth lies in limited resources and sustainability concerns. Canada's cities are growing faster than infrastructure can keep up. Schools, hospitals, roads, and public services are struggling to handle the pressure. According to urban planners, overpopulation in certain regions can trigger cascading problems, from increased unemployment to higher living costs, and that's where policy steps in. By creating incentives, or in some cases restrictions, governments attempt to balance population distribution, sometimes forcing people to move from crowded regions to areas with more available resources. But these policies don't just affect numbers, they affect lives. Families may be told that staying in their hometown is no longer feasible, or that certain benefits and services could be linked to relocation. Entire communities could see shifts in demographics, traditions, and local culture. And for millions, this isn't a distant theory, it's a looming reality. Population control policies are a stark reminder that sometimes the most powerful forces shaping our lives are invisible, quietly influencing where we live, work, and raise our families. Understanding this hidden mechanism is essential to grasping why Canada may face one of the largest forced migrations in its history. We've worked tirelessly to bring these hidden truths to light, so if this video opened your eyes, drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit subscribe, just one click, and join our growing community that digs deeper than the headlines. Number 4. Climate change and environmental strain, nature forcing the move. When we think of mass migration, we often imagine human-made problems, laws, jobs, or housing. But nature itself is becoming a powerful force pushing Canadians out of their homes. Climate change is no longer a distant threat. It's already reshaping the landscape of the country. From rising temperatures and extreme heat waves to devastating floods and wildfires, millions of people are feeling the direct impact on their communities. Scientists warn that certain regions may become practically uninhabitable, forcing families to relocate just to stay safe. The numbers are startling. According to Environment Canada, flooding in major cities has increased by over 30% in the last decade, while forest fires and droughts have disrupted housing and local economies. What's worse, these disasters often hit the most densely populated areas, compounding the pressure created by economic strain and housing shortages. Imagine living in a city where every summer brings the threat of evacuation, every winter strains energy resources, and the cost of rebuilding is impossible to manage. This is the reality for millions. Environmental strain isn't just about property damage, it's about survival. Families may have to leave long-established communities, children may be uprooted from schools, and entire local economies can collapse. And here's the chilling part. Government reports suggest that these pressures will continue to grow, making forced relocation not just likely, but almost inevitable for certain regions by 2026. Understanding climate change's role in migration shows that this isn't just a law or a policy, it's a perfect storm of human and natural pressures, all converging to reshape Canada's population map in ways most of us have never imagined. We spent hours uncovering the truth behind Canada's climate challenges. So if this video gave you a new perspective, share your thoughts in the comments, hit subscribe, just one click, and join a community that wants the real story, not just the headlines. Number 5. Resource shortages, when essentials become scarce. Imagine a country where clean water, energy, and food, the very essentials of life, are no longer guaranteed. For millions of Canadians, this could become a reality by 2026. Resource shortages are quietly intensifying, fueled by population growth, climate change, and economic pressure. And when these basics become limited, governments are forced to make tough decisions, including policies that may require people to relocate to areas where resources are more available. Take water, for example. Certain regions of Canada are already facing stress on freshwater supplies, with demand outpacing availability. Energy shortages are also becoming a serious concern, as aging infrastructure struggles to keep up with rising consumption. Even food security is under pressure. Local farms are facing climate-related challenges, and supply chains are increasingly strained. When resources run thin, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a threat to survival. Experts warn that these shortages often hit urban centers hardest, where the majority of people live. Overcrowded cities strain local systems, making it impossible for everyone to have access to what they need. In response, governments may push policies that redistribute populations, moving families from high-demand areas to regions with more sustainable resources. It's a strategy designed to protect the nation, but for those affected, it's life-altering. Understanding resource shortages is key to seeing why this law could uproot millions. It's not about politics or personal choice, it's about basic survival. When the essentials of life are scarce, the government's hand is forced, and Canadians may face relocation on a scale never seen before. We dug deep into the hidden pressures behind Canada's resource crisis, so if this video shocked you, drop your reaction in the comments, smash that subscribe button, just one click, and be part of a community that seeks the truth beyond the headlines. Number 6. Public health and safety, when overcrowding becomes dangerous. When we think of mass relocation, most of us imagine housing or jobs, but one of the most pressing, hidden reasons Canadians might be forced to move is public health and safety. Overcrowded cities, stretched hospitals, and limited emergency services are creating a perfect storm that could make living in some areas unsustainable by 2026. When millions compete for the same health resources, the risk of disease outbreaks, slow emergency response, and overall reduced quality of care skyrockets. Studies have shown that dense populations increase the spread of illnesses, both seasonal and unexpected, while overstretched hospitals struggle to provide care for everyone. Imagine trying to get a hospital appointment in a city where waiting lists are months long, or facing an emergency where ambulances are delayed because the system is overwhelmed. This isn't just a theory. These pressures are already evident in Canada's busiest cities. The government is acutely aware of this risk. Policies tied to population redistribution aim to reduce strain on public services, ensuring that healthcare, safety, and emergency systems can function effectively. But for citizens, this means some families may be asked or forced to leave areas that are no longer considered sustainable for such large populations. Schools, hospitals, and neighborhoods are all affected, creating a ripple effect that touches every part of daily life. Public health and safety isn't just about numbers, it's about human lives, well-being, and survival. When systems are pushed beyond their limits, drastic action becomes inevitable, and relocation may be the only solution. Understanding this factor is crucial to seeing why this law could impact millions of Canadians, not in theory, but in their everyday reality. We've spent countless hours uncovering the truth about Canada's health and safety challenges. So if this video opened your eyes, tell us your thoughts in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, just one click, and join our community that dives deeper than the headlines. Number 7. Job market saturation. When opportunities run out. One of the most silent but powerful forces pushing Canadians to relocate is job market saturation. As cities grow and more people compete for the same positions, employment opportunities can dry up faster than many realize. By 2026, experts warn that millions could find themselves without viable work in their current cities, making relocation not just an option, but a necessity. The problem isn't just unemployment, it's about the imbalance between jobs and population. In industries like tech, manufacturing, and service sectors, the demand for skilled workers is outpaced by the sheer number of job seekers. Even highly educated professionals can struggle to find stable work, forcing families to consider moving hundreds or even thousands of kilometers to find a place where their skills are needed. The result? Communities once thriving can become depopulated, while smaller towns and regions suddenly face a surge in newcomers. Government reports suggest that this saturation isn't random. It's part of a broader pattern linked to urban planning, economic policy, and population distribution laws. By encouraging movement from overpopulated areas, policymakers aim to reduce unemployment pressure, balance resources, and keep cities functioning. But for those affected, it's life-changing. Careers are uprooted, children switch schools, and families must adapt to entirely new communities. Job market saturation shows that economic forces and policy decisions are deeply intertwined. When jobs run out in one place, the government may intervene to ensure the workforce is redistributed where opportunities exist. For millions of Canadians, this means the dream of staying close to home could vanish, replaced by the harsh reality of having to move to survive economically. We put hours of research into exposing the truth about Canada's job market pressures. So if this video gave you insight, drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, just one click, and join a community that wants the real story, not just the headlines. Number 8. Government legislation and policies. The law behind the move. At the heart of this potential mass exodus is government legislation, a new law that could affect millions of Canadians by 2026. While the headlines often focus on economic or environmental reasons, the legal framework is what actually makes relocation possible. Governments aren't just reacting, they're actively shaping where people can live, based on factors like population density, resource allocation, and infrastructure capacity. The law itself is complex, designed to address multiple pressures at once: housing shortages, public health risks, and regional overpopulation. Experts warn that while it may seem abstract on paper, the real-world impact is profound. Families could be told that certain areas are no longer sustainable for large populations, and relocation may become mandatory. It's a move that touches every aspect of life, from work and schools to healthcare and social services. Historically, laws like this have been used in other countries to manage population distribution, with mixed results. In some cases, they helped balance resources. In others, they caused massive social upheaval. Canada's law seems to be aimed at preventing chaos before it starts, but the human cost is unavoidable. Communities face disruption, local economies shift, and millions of people may have to leave everything familiar behind. Understanding the legislation is crucial because it's the trigger point. Economic pressures, housing shortages, climate change, and public health issues all contribute, but it's the law that officially authorizes relocation on such a massive scale. Without understanding this legal foundation, it's impossible to grasp why 5 million Canadians could be forced to leave by 2026. We spent hours analyzing this law so you don't have to. So if this video opened your eyes, share your thoughts in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, just one click, and join a community that digs beyond the headlines for the full story. Number 9. Social and community pressures. when communities strain under the weight. Beyond economics, laws, and climate, another force quietly pushes people to relocate: social and community pressures. Cities and towns can only absorb so many people before the fabric of daily life begins to strain. Schools become overcrowded, public transportation struggles, hospitals face longer waiting times, and local services start to fail under the sheer weight of growing populations. For millions, these pressures can turn everyday life into a constant struggle, and for some, relocation becomes the only way to regain stability. The effects are often subtle at first. A child's school might add multiple shifts just to fit everyone, or bus routes become unreliable due to congestion. Grocery stores, healthcare facilities, and even recreational areas can feel overwhelmed. While these issues might seem minor individually, together they create a tipping point where life in certain regions becomes unsustainable. Experts say that social pressure isn't just inconvenient, it directly affects mental health, community cohesion, and overall quality of life. Government policies often use these pressures as a guiding factor in population redistribution. By encouraging or even mandating relocation, authorities aim to balance communities, reduce overcrowding, and ensure public services function properly. But the human cost is enormous. Families are uprooted, neighborhoods lose their longtime residents, and local cultures shift almost overnight. Social connections, neighbors, friends, support networks are disrupted, leaving many feeling disconnected and vulnerable. Understanding social and community pressures shows that this isn't just a legal or economic issue, it's a deeply human challenge. When communities can no longer support the number of people living in them, relocation becomes almost inevitable, impacting millions of lives in ways most of us rarely consider. We poured hours into uncovering the hidden social pressures behind this law, so if this video made you think, drop your reaction in the comments, hit that subscribe button, just one click, and join a community that seeks the truth beyond what you see in the headlines. Number 10. Global migration trends. Canada as part of a bigger movement. While Canada's potential relocation of 5 million people may sound shocking, it is not happening in isolation. Around the world, nations are facing mass migration pressures due to economic strain, climate change, population growth, and political instability. From Europe to Asia, governments are grappling with how to manage rising populations in urban centers, limited resources, and stretched public services. Canada's situation is part of a larger global pattern, and understanding this context helps explain why such drastic measures are being considered. Experts note that countries with rapid urban growth often face forced migration policies to redistribute populations to less crowded areas. In Canada, these trends are amplified by a combination of housing shortages, job market saturation, climate pressures, and new legislation. The government's goal is to maintain balance, but for citizens, this global trend translates into real-life consequences: uprooted families, disrupted communities, and a population forced to adapt to new regions. Global migration patterns also show that this is not a short-term issue. Studies by the United Nations indicate that millions of people worldwide could be relocating permanently in the next decade. Canada is likely to follow similar patterns, especially in its major cities and densely populated provinces. This isn't just theory, it's a looming reality that could reshape the country's demographics and society on an unprecedented scale. Understanding these global trends shows that Canada's situation is part of something bigger. Migration isn't just a local problem, it's a worldwide phenomenon, and the pressures behind it are real, measurable, and growing. Recognizing this helps Canadians prepare, understand, and respond to what could be the largest internal migration in the country's history. We spent countless hours connecting Canada's story to global trends, so if this video opened your eyes, share your thoughts in the comments, hit that subscribe button, just one click, and join a community that uncovers the bigger picture behind every headline. By now, it's clear that the situation facing Canada in 2026 is unlike anything we've seen before. A combination of economic pressure, skyrocketing housing costs, population control policies, climate change, resource shortages, public health strains, job market saturation, new legislation, social pressures, and global migration trends is creating a perfect storm. Each factor on its own is significant, but together they form a chain reaction that could force 5 million Canadians to leave their homes, reshaping the country in ways most of us never imagined. This isn't just about laws or numbers, it's about real families, real communities, and real lives. Parents may need to relocate their children, workers might have to rebuild careers in new cities, and neighborhoods could transform overnight. Canada, a nation once celebrated for stability and opportunity, could see its population redistributed on a scale never seen before in its history. Understanding these 10 reasons helps us see the full picture. This isn't a single issue or a temporary challenge. It's a complex, interconnected problem where economic realities, environmental factors, government decisions, and global trends all collide. The question isn't if changes will happen, it's how prepared individuals and communities are to respond. As citizens, being informed is the first step. By understanding the forces at play, Canadians can make smarter decisions about housing, careers, family planning, and emergency preparedness. This is a story of caution, awareness, and survival, a reminder that even in a modern, developed nation, external pressures can change life overnight. The next few years will be critical. How we respond, adapt, and support one another will shape the Canada of the future. Stay informed, stay prepared, and keep watching, because the story of 5 million Canadians may be just the beginning of a much bigger global shift.